Welcome to Pen to Paper. I'm Leah Lindeman and I'm the author of the Canadian Reminiscence series. It's a Canadian historical fiction series, as you guessed, based all over Canada. Now, I haven't really been on YouTube for a while simply because I was very pregnant with my 7th child. I gave birth to my 7th child, but I'm back. Now, last week I talked about how to be a great beta reader and was definitely gearing that more toward readers. But today I thought before I get into the heavy stuff of AuthorTube, how to write, good writing practices, publishing, and so on and so forth, I thought it would be a great opportunity for me to share a little bit about myself. So I'm going to do the author tag today. This is your opportunity to know a little bit more about me, to get up close and personal. So let's go through the questions today. I would love to hear your answers in the comments if this is something that you want to do and you're an author. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel for more AuthorTube content every week, and also I do BookTube on Fridays. All right, let's begin the questions. So first question is, favorite place to write? I write in a few different couple of spots. Most of the time it's at my desk, as long as it's clean and cleared and space enough for me to breathe. If it's not surrounded and littered by homeschool curriculum, I homeschool my oldest 4 kids. But if it's in a good spot, then I will definitely take the time to write there. I probably do more of my writing there when it comes to needing to research along with the writing. Another place that I like to write would be on the couch. So the room next to the schoolroom there's a little couch area, some beautiful old classic books sitting on a gorgeous bookshelf. And now, get this. I have an antique gramophone from the 1930s that my husband bought me from one of his clients, and it's gorgeous. The sound is beautiful. And the records, they're not vinyl records. My mistake. I actually thought I could play a vinyl record, scratched one up. They have to be those old shellac resin-based records, and that's the ones you can play. So the records that only play one song per side, that's the ones that you play on these old gramophones pre-1930s. So the room is just perfectly set up to bring me back to the past, which is what I write in, and a great inspiration. It's a quiet spot. The kids are not around. They're in the rec room, which is on the opposite end of the house. So it's a perfect place for me to settle down and listen to my playlist that I've put together for the book and just get into either the writing or the editing of the book. I also like to occasionally go to Timmy's, which is a coffee shop that's all over Canada. And if I just need a little extra stimulation other than my kids, then that's where I go. And I also occasionally like to go to my library. It's not a dingy old place, although it is a small library for a small town. I just also love kind of being around other new books to stimulate my senses to writing. So those are some of my favorite places to write. Next question is coffee or tea? I'm not a coffee person, strictly coffee person. I enjoy flavored coffee. So if you want to give me an ice cap, that's great. Or a French vanilla, that's great. Anything that has a sweetener to it, although I'm not a sweet tooth, but I'm not really the hardcore bitter coffee type. So I do enjoy that. But when it comes to writing, really my go-to is water. Water with lots of ice. That's my go-to drink all the time. But if I had to choose between coffee or tea, I really like tea. I also love the idea of tea. For me, tea just goes with books. And I also love the picture and idea of drinking tea while I'm writing or reading. It never seems to happen. It's always this extra step in my mind that I have to think of, and it's stopping me from writing. So why would I go and take time away from writing to make tea? But if someone made me tea, then I would be very happy with it. So Are you signing up for the job of making me tea? Because I won't say no. All right, next question is favorite book. I have probably a couple, but my all-time favorite book is Ishmael by Eden Southworth, and she's a lesser-known Victorian novelist, 1890s, I believe. I'm not exactly sure when the book came out in print. It's not a book that many people know of, but it's one that I've read twice. It's the story of a young man who is growing up. I believe he's an orphan. And it's a young man, sorry, there's a bug around here. It's a young man having to grow up in the world and become a man and take on character, grow in character. There's also its a sequel called Self-Raised, but definitely the first one was the best one. I also love Persuasion by Jane Austen. I reread it last year and it was just as moving, just as romantically potent as the first time I've read it. I probably have to say those are my top two favorites. Most of my favorites category rests in the hands of the Victorian novelists. I also love Charles Dickens' work. Well, Jane Austen is not a Victorian novelist. She's a Regency novelist, but still, I love her work. Anything that's old and classic, the books that have reached greatness, that's what my heart desires. That's what I long for the most. Not to say that I don't enjoy recent and modern reads, but that's where my true home lies. All right, next question is NaNoWRIMO, yes or no? For me, it's kind of a no. I'm just in a position of life where I have 7 kids and I cannot dedicate a whole month to finishing a whole book. It's too much for me. I know that just does not work with my lifestyle. So I've never done it. And when I did get into writing when I was younger, I didn't know about NaNoWRIMO. So I was 16 when I first started writing, although I started writing poetry before fiction and books. But my lifestyle in general up until now has not afforded me that time and the ability to commit to such a large project in a month's time. So that's a no for me. But if you are in a position of life where you can afford that time to write a great project in a month, then go for it. I highly encourage you and support you. Tell me, are you going to be doing NaNoWRIMO this year? Next question is, what genre would you write if you had no restrictions? I'm an indie author, so if I want to write something, there's no restrictions. The only restrictions that I could think of was if I didn't have a story for that specific genre. And for the longest time, that genre that I really, really, really wanted to write because I love reading it so much is fantasy. But I didn't have a story for it or any kind of premise or basis for this fantasy book or series that I would love to do. But guess what? The idea came to me a year ago, and it's not happening now because I'm focused on my Canadian historical fiction series. That is my first love. I'm dedicated to writing a story per province/territory to highlight the history that has happened in my country because I love my country so much. But once that's done, I cannot wait to put out into the world this fantasy idea that I have. I don't even really know what the story is. All I know is that I kind of want to hit even high fantasy, just create complete worlds, all based on the nationality that I am, that I cling to the most. So maybe that's a hint, but I don't want to give anything else away because this, from what I could tell, is a very unique idea that I do not want to let go. Next question, what superpower would you choose? When I was younger, I really enjoyed the X-Men movies, the old ones. There's not really any new ones. Oh yeah, there's newer ones, but you know, the old ones. And I always really enjoyed watching the superpower of telekinesis. That's probably what I would go for. All powerful, I can move things with my brain. It just seems very easy. But at the same time, there's a lot of responsibility with such a high power like that. So I would have to be very careful with how I choose to use it. But that Superpower has always kind of resonated with me. Next question is favorite author. So I've already mentioned a lot of authors that I highly love, and they're all dead and they're all in the past. So I thought it'd be nice to bring in a mix of modern authors here. I really enjoy Sarah J. Maas in the fantasy world. I've also enjoyed Liba Bray, who did the Great and Terrible Beauty series, and also the Diviner series, which I've read the first book of that one, but not the rest. And the author of, oh yes, Alison Goodman, The Dark Days Club. I am obsessed with that series. It's historical fantasy, perfect melding of the two genres. Love, love, love that series. I'm trying to think of anybody else, and nobody's really coming to mind. If I do think of anybody in the editing of this video, I will put it down below here so you can read it. But I just can't think of anybody else right now. That's it for now. Okay. Sorry, that was such a disappointment. Just, the greats were in the past. The works that reach greatness just are very hard to find right now. Oh, I should say this though. For personal development books, now this is going to the whole nonfiction area genre. A book that reaches greatness that is just as great as the Declaration of Independence that Americans die for is the Motivation Manifesto by Brendan Burchard. That man has an absolute gift of rousing the human spirit with so much dignity and duty and greatness. And if you read any nonfiction book, you've got to read that book, The Motivation Manifesto. And guess what? I haven't even read the whole thing. My husband was reading this, and he was reading passages to me, and every single passage he read to me was bringing me high to greatness. And so I can't wait to sink my teeth into that one. And he even said that he couldn't read it quickly or all in one shot. There's just so much meat to it and so much greatness that he just had to ingest it slowly, word by word. So I can't wait to get into that one. I'm already telling you, I've already read Brendan Burchard's books, a few of them, High Performance Habits, The 7 Growth Habits on Audible. This man is a genius. He's a gift. So you gotta read that one. What music do you listen to when I'm writing? I like instrumental, cinematic music, and I try to find, whenever I hear a song that just really resonates with me as I'm writing, then it goes into my book playlist. The odd time I'll listen to music that has lyrics, but that's, I find, very difficult to manage, so I usually don't do that. But if I hear a song with lyrics in, let's say, a movie or a TV show, and I just feel like the lyrics really go with what I'm writing, I'll add that to the book playlist. And then when it comes on the playlist while I'm writing, then I listen to that. Next question. If you could live anywhere, where would you live? Okay, this is really funny because this tag I got from, oh shoot. Anyways, I am going to point back to it. The original video that I got this tag from is from an author in Scotland. She lives in Glasgow. And funny enough, her answer was Canada. If she could live anywhere, she'd live in Canada. And I live in Canada, and if I could live anywhere, I'd live in Scotland. Because if you've seen my Take a Tour in Scotland video, which I can post up there, then you'll understand that I am so obsessed with Scotland. I love Scotland. Funnily enough, it was never on my radar to go and visit, but once I did, it took my heart and just kept it there, and now I want to go back all the time. If I could live anywhere, I'd live there. The rugged beauty of that place is incredibly inspiring, and I just want to stay in it forever. So that's what I would choose. Maybe one day I'll get a vacation home there. That would be the next best thing, because I really do love Canada. I love my country. I love the land. I love the people. Cost of living right now and government kind of are terrible. Oh, but yeah, not so great. But overall, I love my country. And the last question is, what do you do when you get writer's block? Well, guess what? I don't really believe in writer's block. I believe it's a very convenient excuse to not write. Now, don't get me wrong. There are parts when you write, you get stuck. It's a problem-solving situation. You have to work through whatever the issue is to find the solution to your problem. And that's what I do. When I get writer's block, I don't stop writing. I just keep writing. Even if it's garbage, even if it's terrible, I can always go back and fix it. But if I don't write, then I'm finding an excuse not to write. Then no writing's getting done. And then how am I supposed to call myself a writer if I'm not getting the writing done? There are times where taking a break is helpful. So going for a walk, drinking some water, talking with my kids, talking with a friend, just going out of the house and changing up the scenery a little bit is very helpful. But I don't linger in the awayness from writing my book. I won't take those things and use them as an excuse to not write, because I'll take that break, I'll be refreshed, and I'll come back to the work, and I'll remind myself, what is the larger vision for this book? Why am I writing this book? Why do I love this book? And just push through. Think of scenes that get me excited to where I want to get to. I know some authors write out of scene order, which is cool. I just don't do that. But I look forward to certain scenes that I want to write, and so I plow through so I can get there. But as I'm plowing through, it gets much easier. And that's how I deal with writer's block. This was a cool video to do. I really enjoyed answering these questions, so hopefully you got to know a little bit more about me. If you are new to this channel, you can subscribe, like this video, and again, I would love to hear your answers in the comments below so I can get to know a little more about you. If you don't want to answer them all, that's fine, but you can answer maybe one or two, and that would be fun. So next week, back to AuthorTube, back to the heavier stuff. I'm excited to teach you guys again, and I'll see you on Friday for some BookTube stuff, maybe a single video review coming up. Take care, have an awesome week. Bye.